Hello everyone, this is my Daxos the Returned Orzhov Prison deck tech. If you don't know, Daxos is a 1 white black legendary zombie soldier 2/2, and he says whenever you cast an enchantment, you get an experience counter, which is these bad boys. And then you may pay 1 white and black, and you may make an XX ghost, where X is the number of experience counters you control, so they get incrementally stronger. So going onward with the actual meat of the deck, these are my basic lands. There's really not many, and they're all different because I'm a sociopath. So going on to the more meat of the deck, because basic lands are not interesting. Here's my non-basics. For my colorless section, we're going to have Karn's Bastion, because colorless mana, I mean, it's only a 2-color deck, so not hitting your colors isn't too super relevant. Plus, what you want to do is you want to do 4 mana to proliferate. Plus, there's a lot of things in this deck that makes counters, so it's kind of beneficial. Reliquary Tower to have no max hand size, Ghost Quarter to get rid of some problem lands, Hall of Heliod's Generosity because it says Academy Ruins but for enchantments. Then for my black section of my non-basic lands, you have Bojuka Bog because it's good grave hate, Urborg because it makes all your lands swamps, and not for the white section, the only card is Serra Sanctum because there's really not many good white non-basics for this deck, mono white non-basics. Then going on, I pretty much have all the duels. I have the check, I have the pseudo check. I don't know what these are called. Let me know. I really don't know what those ones are called. The Horizon Land, Shock Land. This doesn't belong in here, but it's one of the colorless lands. Man Land, Command Tower, Filter Land, Scry Land, Bounce Land, Pain Land, Fast Land, and that's all the lands. So, getting some more into the deck. This is no particular order, by the way. The lands were the only ones I put to the side. But Ethereal Absolution, 6 mana. It's a mini Elishnorn, and also it's Grave Hate to poop out 2/2 flyers, which seems pretty good. Swords to Plowshares, because it's 1 mana removal, and life is a resource. It's not super relevant like it is in Modern and other formats like that, where Path is the go-to. Ghostly Prison, because I don't want people attacking me. Lunarch Ascension, because late game it's not bad. Early game it's really good, because you start paying 2 mana for 4/4 Angels if you can get it down turn 2. Thought Vessel, because it's a good rock, and it gives you no max hand size. Blind Obedience, again, this entire deck, the whole purpose of this deck is to make it so hard for my opponents to play the game. It makes it hard for my opponents to play the game. I can amass experience counters, and then I can poop out some big chunky ghosts and start paying 3 mana for 9/9s. So, Blind Obedience makes my opponent's creatures enter untapped and their artifacts, plus Extort's not really relevant, but it's kind of there as an option. Authority of the Console is a super underrated card. 1 mana, make everything, just your creatures, or opponent's creatures enter tapped, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. So, it kind of time walks token decks, like Risk the Redeemed, or especially 1/1s. Oblivion Ring, just because it's some good removal. Aura of Silence, makes it harder for opponents to cast artifacts and enchantments, and you can just blow up an artifact enchantment at instant speed. Wrath of God, because it's a nuke. Greater Oromancy, to protect my enchantments, so kind of like, if you want to get rid of my stuff, you got to get rid of this thing first. Profane Procession, because it's kind of always a threat. You just pay 5 mana to just laser something, and then you return it back to your field later if you want to pay some mana. Seems pretty good. Leyline of the Void, to stop grave decks. Seal of Cleansing, kind of the same thing with Aura of Silence. Not really there for the cost edition, but sacrifice it just to destroy something. Seems pretty good, plus you can recur it later. It's cheap cost. Talisman, it's good ramp. You know, white-black really doesn't have much ramp, so you kind of got to rely on rocks. Thought Render Lamia, whatever it is. Not really great for a cost. It's kind of newly added. I've been kind of tinkering with it a little bit. But Constellation, whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. And Daxos makes, if I can find them, enchantment creatures. So 3 mana, everyone discards a card, and you get like an 8/8. That's the theory behind it, but haven't played enough games with it to really test it. Orzhov Signet for more ramp. Anointed Procession to double up my spirit tokens. Tainted Ether, it's kind of a soft lock, but I'll put it to the side for now. So it's whenever a creature comes into play, its controller sacrifices a creature or land. Go back to that later. Lightning Greaves protects Daxos. not really there for anything particular. It just protects Daxos because the deck really can't function without him too well. Seer safety, so my opponents can't attack me. Attrition, so I can destroy my own ghosts to blow up other things, just for 1 mana. Seems pretty good to me. Grasp of Fate, because it is an O-ring, or a Banishing Light, whatever you want to call it, for each opponent. Archons of Sungrace is just added. Same kind of reasoning with Thought Render Lamia. I pay 3 mana for an enchantment, or I just play them naturally from my hand. Then I get a 2/2 lifelink flyer with evasion. So an issue with this deck is that since it's very mean, it gets targeted quickly. So life loss is an issue. So this is a quick way to recuperate some of it. Curses, Misfortunes. This deck has a sub-theme of curses. Not really. It has maybe 5 of them, but the 5 kind of they kind of really hurt whoever gets this card on it. This card is just the engine. It's the beginning of the end, and you really never want to see this card on you, but I'll separate a separate pile for that. Sorin Grim Nemesis. 6 mana is kind of steep, but it's basically +1, you draw a card, and then each opponent takes some damage. This deck has a pretty high CMC on average, so doesn't seem too bad. Minus Exum, you just kill something, and then you gain some life. And then -9, it's never going to happen, but if it works, probably win the game. That's kind of like how most Planeswalkers work, is if you win the game, if you ult them. Elder Stillborn is just good overall. 5 mana, each opponent sacrifices a creature or Planeswalker. So, seems pretty good. Then next turn, each opponent discards a card, and then the turn after that, it goes away, and then I get the best thing in any grave. Works for me. Heliod, whoa. Heliod, sometimes he's an indestructible body. More importantly, he gives things vigilance, and the most important part, he can make 2/1 enchantment creatures. So that's another little enchantment creature engine for the constellation effects. Phyrexian Arena, because it's good card draw. Darksteel Mutation, because you put it on someone's commander, and it really hurts them. It's hard to get rid of. It's a 0/1 indestructible bug that loses all abilities. Painful Quandary, just to make Storm cry. Whenever opponent casts a spell, they lose 5 life unless they discard a card, so they kind of have the option until they don't. So, a big fan of that. Cruel Reality. That goes back under with the Curse of Misfortunes. So this is the final lock combo piece, I believe. I haven't played this deck in too long, and I have made some cuts recently. But Enchant player, the beginning of Enchanted player's turn, they sacrifice a creature or Planeswalker, and if they can't, they lose 5 life. Put that under the pile. Mesa Enchantress, whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card. I'm playing an enchantment deck, just it makes sense. Bitter Blossom, mainly just, again, they're blockers. That's kind of how I'm looking at them. They're fodder for attrition, things like that. Plus, like, losing 1 life every upkeep, or just your upkeeps, for a 1/1 with evasion is a pretty good rate. Idyllic Tutor, because I'm playing an enchantment deck, and it gets any enchantment. Erebus, God of the Dead. Honestly, because it's a mean deck, it's because your opponents can't gain life. Plus, just having greed, or a slightly worse greed, on an indestructible 5/7 is also pretty good. Liliana of the Dark Realm. I've never really used her -3. It's mainly for her plus. Again, there's not really any ramp in white-black colors, so it gets you there. Plus, the -3 isn't bad if you get Urborg on the field, but again, I don't have too many swamps. And then if you -6 her, which actually happens more often than you'd think, the game's pretty much over. It's getting 6 or 4 mana for tapping a land is actually obscene. Revenge of the Ravens. It's kind of like a pseudo-sphere safety ghostly prison propaganda effect. It's newly added. It's just kind of a disincentive for people to attack me. Because it's like, oh, if you want to swing at me, like... So that was just like no reason to attack me with 1/1s, because you're just going to get hurt, and plus I'm just going to gain that life back anyway, unless you need some weird combat damage trigger. But yeah, 4 mana for essentially the black version of propaganda. There actually is a black version of propaganda. I think it's from Ice Age. It's not very good. It's just because I can't think of it. It's basically a 4 mana enchantment, black 3, the beginning of your upkeep, tap a creature, and then, or bury it, and creatures have to pay 2 to attack you. But I don't remember what that's called. Someone let me know what that card's called. Quarantine Field, it's just a big O-ring. That's really all it's there for, is you just ruin someone's day. Starfield Mystic, cost reducer. Whenever enchantment you control spin into a grave, make him beefy. My creatures are mostly enchantments, so, you know, if a creature dies, it gets stronger, whatever. Someone blows up my enchantments, no big deal. He gets stronger. Smothering Tithe. If you're kind of playing white, you should just run a Smothering Tithe. Most likely people are not paying the 2. You just really don't want to. Like in Standard, it's different, but in EDH, 2 mana is kind of more relevant, like later in games. I don't know. Cast Out, it's just instant speed, Banishing Light. Mortify, if you don't know Mortify, it's destroy target creature or enchantment. And this guy's all screaming. Rest in Peace, it's more graveyard hate. I have a lot of graveyard hate in this deck because when me and my friends first started playing, my buddy Alex had a Maren deck. And geez, I thought Maren, and still kind of think Maren, is an absolutely busted commander. And this deals with it. Lapse of Certainty. It's a counterspell in white and no one expects it. That's all I'm going to say with it. It's actually kind of like almost a little... It has its like pros and cons because like, yeah, you get to counter a spell and deal with it later, but they put it on top of their deck, so they're just going to get it next turn anyways. But they also lose their draw, so, you know. Martyr's Bond. This is one of the combo pieces with Tainted Ether. What happens is you have Daxos on the field. You make a creature or enchantment. You make a creature, and then you sacrifice it, because when it enters, you sacrifice a creature or land. You sacrifice the creature you just made. Now, each opponent, due to Martyr's Bond, has to sacrifice a creature, or they have to sacrifice an enchantment. That's a lock. For, you know, as long as you have 3 mana. Merciless Eviction is probably the best nuke in all of Magic, in my opinion. Just hits anything you'd like. It's completely modal. Big fan of it. Sigil of the Empty Throne. It's an enchantment deck, and I cast a lot of enchantments, and I like making 4/4 flyers. Brave the Sands. Creatures get vigilance, and creatures can block an additional. It's just kind of good to play cheap enchantments early game with Daxos, because you want to start making them as big as possible, as fast as possible. And this makes it so, 1, they're a little bit stronger early game. 2, there's no downside to blocking. And 3, on the defensive, you're a little bit better. Bolus of Citadel. It's Bolus of Citadel. If you ever played with Bolus of Citadel, it wins you the game. Just flat out, it wins you games. Anguished in Making. Getting rid of a non-land permanent, or exiling a non-land permanent. Super, super good. Losing 3 life, kind of sucks, but like, it's not like bad for basically better instant speed Vindicate. Sun Titan. Good card. Sun Titan's like in here for the cards I run, like Aura of Silence and Seal of Cleansing and the other small enchantment things that you can just get back, right? Like, oh, it enters or let's say you have Seal of Cleansing on the field. So Seal of Cleansing, sacrifice Seal of Cleansing, blow up something, Sun Titan enters, get back Seal of Cleansing, blow up something, it goes again, then next turn Sun Titan attacks, bring back Seal of Cleansing, and you just kind of, you can keep your opponents more under control. And that's just with Seal of Cleansing as an example. Dictate of Erebus is the other card that goes with Tainted Ether. It's basically a slightly worse Martyr's Bond. It only works for creatures, but still good. Extinguish All Hope, destroy all non-enchantment creatures. The main way I win this game is with enchantment creatures. That's, the spirit Daxos makes. So destroying all non-enchantment creatures really clears away for me. Debtor's Knell. It's kind of new to the deck. In theory, it's really good. In practice, it's 7 mana. So it comes down late, and usually there's not much worth taking. But, again, I haven't played with it too much to really think about it. Overwhelming Splendor is the first thing you grab with Curse of Misfortunes. Because you gotta think, put this on your opponent, then every turn for free you get to trigger a Precursor to their field. So you put on Overwhelming Splendor. All their things are now +1/+1, and they can't activate abilities that aren't mana or loyalty abilities. So everything's shut off but their rocks and their planeswalkers. and everything enters as vanilla 1/1, so now ETBs don't even work. So everything they have is just pretty much a vanilla 1/1 that can't do anything else. Then one of the later locks is running Cruel Reality to make them sack the creatures they have. And I think the final one is Curse of Death's Hold. I haven't played with this deck again in quite a while. It's Curse of Death's Hold to make all their creatures -1/-1. So their creatures are, well, we'll get it. Their creatures are now 1/1 to curse them again. Now all their creatures enter as 0/0s with no ETB effect. And now they have no creatures on the battlefield. So every turn they had to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, so they can't. And then they lose 5 life every turn. That's pretty much that. So you're on an 8-turn clock the second it comes in. Soul Ring. Shout out to my guy on Instagram. His name's Bolia Art. And he does really good altars like this. And really good, like, dollar auctions for some really good, altars. He does, like, one every day almost. If not every day, every other day. And they're all really good. Check him out. His name's Bolia Art. I won this in a giveaway from him. Really good guy. Really nice guy. Ethereal Armor. Put him on Daxos. You get a lot of enchantments. Daxos is now beefy. Sometimes you win with commander damage. If not, you just have a big blocker. That's really it. Karmic Justice says, don't target my stuff or else I'll blow up your stuff. You usually hit lands just to keep them off mana. Deadly Tempest. Again, so this was my first deck I've ever made. So when I built it, I made a list of deck archetypes that I don't think I could deal with well. Grave was one of them, and tokens was another. Because if someone just makes too many tokens, then they swing it at me, and I can't block them because they're just going to outvalue me. So, this is the best anti-token nuke in the game, in my opinion. Say you're going against a Rish or a Krenko deck, you wipe their field, and then probably just kill the player. Open the vaults to get back all of your artifacts and enchantments that go to the grave. Kind of good, kind of bad. Good, you get all your stuff back. Bad, your opponents get all their stuff back. So, if it's worth it, if it's better for you to get everything back, then you might as well. Combo, it's again one of those storm cards like Painful Quandary. It stops storm, and that's why it's in here. Plus, generally just 3 mana 2/3 that will gain you life and drain opponents just for playing the game. I'm a fan of it. Hidden Stockpile, Revolt's really, really good. Especially when you're attacking. Things die to combat damage, then you get 1/1s, and then you can just sacrifice to scry 1. Seems really good. Not only does it seem really good, it is very good. This card I was actually very skeptical about putting in, and it's an all-star. Final card, Black Market. When things die, I get mana. That's it. Well, thank you guys for watching the video. That is all I have for today. This is my entire Daxos, the returned EDH, Oppression, Enchantment, Prison deck, whatever you'd like to call it. And that's it. If you guys liked the video, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I'd appreciate that. And if you have a Daxos deck, or you don't, and you have any suggestions for upgrades or anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.